Before I came to Rome, I sat down with Bill Gates for an exclusive interview where the billionaire revealed he has given away 99% of his money. And he says his charitable Gates Foundation will undergo a major change that will result in shutting down by 2045. His organization, of course, is devoted to fighting poverty, disease, and inequity, and is now, as a result of today's announcement, doubling its spending on those causes to $200 billion over the next 20 years. We had to begin with the question you may be asking. Why now?
By deciding to spend all this money in the next 20 years, we can get a lot more done.
The original plan for the Gates Foundation, established and funded by Bill and Melinda Gates and backed by additional billions from Warren Buffett, was to keep the doors open and the dollars flowing for 2 decades after Bill's death. Instead, as of today's announcement, the plan is to give away virtually all of my wealth, Bill writes, over the next 20 years. And if you couldn't guess, we're talking about a lot of wealth.
I'm super excited that that'll be over $200 billion that we'll give away during that time period, and that we'll be able to save tens of millions of lives.
And you're not going to miss it.
No, I won't. I hope I'm still alive when we finish the 20 years, but I'll save a little bit to be able to buy hamburgers as much as I need.
The $100 billion the foundation has already spent since 2000 has helped cut the rate of death among children under 5 in half. This is a Philips ultrasound, thanks in part to its investments in new technologies, like the ones he showed us at his offices in Palm Desert, California.
What are you proudest of?
Well, the work in vaccines would be the top of the list, because at the turn of the century, kids weren't getting vaccines for diarrhea and pneumonia, and that's now saved millions and millions of lives. So it's a simple little vial like this one.
Portable coolers and go-anywhere drones help deliver those vials where they're needed. But Deeps now worries fewer people will be getting them, not because of the distances, but because of the governments involved.
It looks like we'll be able to raise less money now than we did in the past, because the U.S. at least is tentatively not supporting buying those vaccines, and other countries in Europe that have always been substantially more generous are also cutting back.
It sounds like, in part, you're doing this because you're looking at the world and you're looking at this country, and they're doing less. So the Gates Foundation and other foundations need to do more.
Well, you always want more money going into these things where you're saving lives for a few $1,000s. And I'll be an advocate that when President Bush created a lot of these programs for HIV, malaria, and some other things, that should be maintained.
What's it been like working with the Trump administration? I know you recently had dinner with the president. Did anything come out of that?
Yeah, so I talked to him about work on HIV and the great innovations, and so it was a great discussion. Since then, some of the programs have been cut off, and I'm hoping both with the president or the Congress to get them to restore some of those aid activities.
If they don't, is the Gates Foundation large enough to take the place of what the government had been doing?
No. So their money for global health was 4 times what the Gates Foundation
So if this
gives.
money goes away, and you were talking about millions of lives saved, can you put a number on the lives potentially lost?
Yeah, absolutely. So we should be going from 5 million children dying a year over the next 5 years to 4 million. And now with these cuts, if they're not reversed, we'll go to over 6 million dying. So instead of going down, we'll go back up.
Wow. So it's a difference of 2 million lives.
Absolutely.
Besides giving it all away, Gates is marking a series of major personal milestones. His foundation is turning 25. The company he founded, Microsoft, is turning 50. And Bill Gates, the man, no longer the child prodigy, is turning 70.
What are you doing to celebrate?
When my birthday comes in late October, I'll, gather hundreds of my friends and, maybe they'll roast me or we'll just, you know, stay up late.
For Bill Gates, there's no such thing as traditional retirement. But today's announcement, he admits, almost certainly marks the beginning of the last chapter of his career.
Just typing those words, last chapter, what's that feel like?
Well, I wish I had, even more time, but, I have to say, okay, this is, the last part of my life, and I'm a steward of these resources. I should make sure that it's well spent. Warren Buffett's generosity, that's always, I've felt a huge responsibility to make sure his generosity is highly impactful, and now, this is the last stage of all that.